First contact failures. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Confederation stretched across an impossible expanse, its crystalline dome reflecting the light of 3 artificial suns. 2,000 delegates from across the known universe sat in tiered rings, each species occupying their environmental bubbles customized for their unique physiologies. Some floated in gaseous clouds, others submerged in bubbling liquids, while many sat on specially designed seats that accommodated everything from massive tentacled forms to microscopic hive minds. At the center of this spectacle stood Commander Eliza Chen, the lone human representative. Her simple blue uniform looked almost primitive compared to the bioluminescent robes and cyanic adornments worn by the other delegates. She stood with perfect military posture, her expression revealing nothing as the Confederation's High Council deliberated humanity's application for membership. The species known as humans began High Councilor Xerlax, a towering being of swirling plasma contained within an ornate gravitational field generator, has submitted a formal petition to join our Confederation. The translator embedded in Eliza's ear conveyed the bemused tone perfectly. They claim to meet our criteria for technological advancement and societal stability. A ripple of what could only be described as laughter spread through the assembly. These creatures discovered faster than light travel barely 50 years ago, said Councillor Demery Voss, a crystalline entity who had personally witnessed the rise and fall of 12 galactic empires. They still fight among themselves over resources. They still die from simple genetic imperfections. They still sleep. This last observation triggered more amusement. Eliza remained perfectly still, her face a mask of diplomatic neutrality. Commander Chen. Xerlax addressed her directly. Your species has shown remarkable determination. We acknowledge your rapid advancement since achieving spaceflight. However, the Confederation requires members who can contribute meaningfully to our collective security and knowledge. Eliza stepped forward. With respect, High Councilor, Earth has much to offer. Our adaptive problem-solving approaches. Yes, interrupted Demery Voss, crystal facets glinting impatiently. Your species' supposed creativity. We've heard this argument from every emerging species. The truth is, Commander, humanity is simply too young, too fragile, and too volatile for full membership. The Council's empath, a gaseous being named Thulura, who could sense emotions across vast distances, drifted forward. I detect no deception from the human, but I do sense something unusual, a strange calmness beneath her surface thoughts. Xerlax's plasma form flickered with what might have been curiosity. Explain yourself, Commander. Your species stands before beings who have shaped galaxies and shepherded civilizations for millions of years. What could Earth possibly offer us? Eliza spoke carefully, her words measured and precise. Humanity has always thrived against overwhelming odds, High Councilor. We understand what it means to be underestimated. We don't ask for charity or special consideration, only fair assessment based on potential rather than current capabilities. Potential, repeated Xerlax, their plasma form rippling with what might have been amusement. The universe is littered with the remnants of species with potential who reached too far, too fast. Admiral Zrek, the military representative on the Council, a massive reptilian being whose species had conquered 17 star systems before joining the Confederation, leaned forward. Let us speak plainly. Your world has been under observation since your first radio transmissions. You've fought 3 global wars. You've nearly destroyed yourselves with nuclear weapons. Your history is soaked in blood. And yet, Eliza responded calmly. We survived. We learned. We evolved. Not enough, declared Zrek. The Confederation requires stability. The deliberation continued for hours, each council member methodically dismantling humanity's application. They cited humanity's short lifespan, biological vulnerabilities, technological limitations, and violent tendencies. Eliza countered each point with dignity and clarity, but it became increasingly clear that the decision had been made before she even arrived. Finally, Xerlax raised a plasma tendril for silence. The Council has reached its decision. While we recognize humanity's rapid advancement, your application for Confederation membership is denied. For the first time, a flicker of emotion crossed Eliza's face. Not disappointment, but something closer to resignation. Furthermore, continued Exerlax, the Council has determined that humanity requires additional supervision. Your species' aggressive expansion and military development are concerning. We will establish a quarantine perimeter at the edge of your solar system. No human vessels will be permitted beyond this boundary without Confederation approval. A murmur of approval spread through the assembly. Containment was standard protocol for potentially disruptive species, a gentle but firm way to ensure they didn't become problems for the greater galactic community. With respect, Eliza said, her voice suddenly carrying a different weight, Earth will consider this action a violation of our sovereignty. Admiral Zrek barked a sound that might have been laughter. You misunderstand, Commander. This isn't a negotiation. No, Eliza agreed. It isn't. She touched a small device on her wrist, and a holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber, replacing the Confederation's insignia. The image showed empty space. Then, one by one, massive ships began appearing, emerging from what looked like tears in the fabric of reality itself. Not a dozen ships, not 100, thousands. Each vessel bore the markings of Earth's United Defense Force, sleek and purposeful, with weapon systems that even the Council's military experts couldn't immediately identify. The assembly fell silent. What is the meaning of this? Surlax demanded, their plasma form flickering erratically. Insurance, Eliza replied simply. You've been watching us for decades. We've been watching you for centuries. Impossible, hissed Admiral Zrek. Your species didn't even have spaceflight until we wanted you to think we achieved it, Eliza finished for him. Humanity learned long ago that appearing weaker than you are can be a significant tactical advantage. The hologram expanded, showing more ships positioned strategically throughout Confederation space, near key military installations, trading hubs, and even the homeworlds of several council members. 57 years ago, Eliza continued, we intercepted a Confederation observation vessel near Mars. Instead of announcing our discovery, we studied it, reverse-engineered its technology, and used it to learn everything we could about the Confederation. While you watched us with amusement, thinking yourselves so superior, we were preparing. This is a violation, began Demry Voss. But Eliza cut them off. This is survival. Humanity has learned through bitter experience not to trust the benevolence of those with power. So we developed contingencies. The council chamber erupted in chaos as delegates demanded explanations, issued threats, or simply tried to comprehend what was happening. Through it all, Eliza Chen stood calmly, waiting for the storm to pass. Finally, Exerlax raised their plasma form to its full height, towering over the human representative. You come into our sacred chamber and threaten us. This is precisely why your kind cannot be trusted. We don't threaten, Eliza replied. We simply ensure mutual respect. Your species have had millennia to learn cooperation. Humans had to learn it while fighting for our very existence. We hope to join you as equals, to learn from you and share what we know. But if you insist on treating us as children, we will demonstrate exactly how grown-up we are. She gestured to the hologram, and the image changed again. Now it showed detailed schematics of Confederation defense systems, communication networks, and even the private security protocols of council members. How? Gasped Thulara, the empath. You've been compromised for decades, Eliza said simply. Not because we wished you harm, but because we needed to understand if you would be a threat to us. Admiral Zrek snarled, baring rows of razor-sharp teeth. This is an act of war. No, Eliza corrected him. This is an opportunity for a better first contact, one based on mutual respect rather than condescension. She touched her wrist device again, and the hologram vanished. The human fleet will stand down and return to concealed positions on one condition. The Confederation recognizes Earth's sovereign territory and opens genuine diplomatic relations with us, not as primitives to be managed, but as equals to be respected. The council members exchanged glances, their varied physiologies making their expressions difficult to read. But their silence spoke volumes. "You have 24 hours to decide," Eliza said calmly. "I'll return tomorrow for your answer." As she turned to leave, Thulara drifted closer. "I sense no malice from you, human. Only determination." Eliza paused. "That's the thing about humans, counselor. We don't need malice to be dangerous. We just need to be underestimated." With that, she walked out of the Grand Assembly Hall, leaving behind a council that, for the first time in thousands of years, found itself unsure of what to do next. The Reckoning. The Grand Assembly Hall looked markedly different when Commander Eliza Chen returned the following day. Gone was the casual superiority that had permeated the chamber during her previous visit. Instead, a tense silence hung in the air as 2,000 delegates waited with a mixture of fear, anger, and curiosity. The High Council members had clearly spent the night in emergency sessions. Their usual immaculate appearances were slightly disheveled. Surlax's plasma form flickered unevenly. Demrivos's crystalline structure showed microfractures from stress, and Admiral's Rex scales had dulled, a sign of extreme fatigue in his species. As Eliza took her position at the center of the chamber, Surlax spoke, their voice carefully controlled. "Commander Chen, the Council has verified your claims. Somehow, humanity has indeed established a significant military presence throughout Confederation space without detection. Furthermore," added Demrivos, "our security specialists confirm that critical systems have been compromised. The extent of the infiltration is still being assessed, but it appears to be comprehensive." Eliza nodded but said nothing, allowing the council to continue. Admiral Zrek leaned forward, his reptilian eyes narrowed. "What we cannot understand is why. If your capabilities are as extensive as they appear, why seek Confederation membership at all? Why reveal yourselves now?" "A fair question," Eliza acknowledged. "Humanity could have remained hidden, continuing to observe and prepare. We chose a different path because isolation serves no one in the long term. Despite our precautions, we genuinely seek cooperation rather than conflict." "Cooperation," Zrek hissed. "You infiltrated our networks, positioned weapons near our homeworlds, and deceived us about your technological capabilities. And you speak of cooperation." Eliza met his gaze steadily. "You would have done the same, Admiral. In fact, your species did exactly that before joining the Confederation 3 millennia ago. The difference is that we're offering transparency now, before any misunderstandings lead to unnecessary conflict." A murmur spread through the assembly as many delegates recognized the truth in her words. The Confederation's history was filled with species who had employed deception and strategic positioning before eventually becoming valued members. Thulara, the empath, drifted forward. "I sense your sincerity, human, but there is something else, a deeper concern you haven't shared." Eliza hesitated for the first time. "We've been monitoring more than just the Confederation, Counselor. There are threats beyond your borders that you've either failed to detect or chosen to ignore." This statement sent another wave of unease through the chamber. Surlax's plasma form pulsed rapidly. "Explain yourself." Instead of responding verbally, Eliza activated her wrist device again. The holographic display reappeared, but this time it showed a different region of space, the dark expanse beyond the Confederation's outer territories. As the delegates watched, strange anomalies appeared in the void, tears in spacetime that didn't match any known form of faster-than-light travel. "We call them harbingers," Eliza explained. "They exist partially outside normal spacetime, which is why your detection systems haven't noticed them. We discovered their presence 15 years ago when they destroyed one of our long-range exploration vessels." Admiral Zrek stood suddenly. "This is impossible. The Confederation has the most advanced detection grid in the known universe. Nothing cold." Your detection systems are designed to find what you expect to find. Eliza interrupted. Harbingers don't use any technology the Confederation has encountered before. They don't communicate in any recognizable fashion, and they systematically eradicate any technological civilization they encounter. She expanded the hologram, showing the path of destruction left in the Harbinger's wake. Dozens of worlds reduced to lifeless husks, civilizations that had never made contact with the Confederation wiped from existence. This is why we developed our fleet in secret, Eliza continued. This is why we infiltrated your systems, not just to protect ourselves from you, but to understand if you could be allies against something far worse. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Finally, Turlac spoke, their voice uncharacteristically subdued. If what you show us is true, why did you not simply share this information? Would you have believed us? Eliza asked. A primitive species claiming to have discovered a threat that your advanced civilization had missed. You would have dismissed it as a ploy, perhaps even a justification for our military development. Demry Voss's crystalline form shifted uncomfortably. The human's logic is sound. We would not have taken such claims seriously. How have you confirmed these harbingers pose a threat? Asked Thulera. We sent ambassadors, Eliza replied, her voice growing quieter. 17 attempts at peaceful contact. All 17 ships and their crews were destroyed without response. We've been preparing for war ever since. Admiral Zrek studied the data with new interest. Your fleet, it's not positioned to attack the Confederation. It's forming a defensive perimeter. Yes, Eliza confirmed. Based on our projections, the Harbingers will reach Confederation space within 5 years. We positioned our forces to intercept them at key strategic locations. All this deception, Turlac said slowly, was to prepare a defense for a civilization that rejected you. We defended ourselves by learning everything we could about you, Eliza explained. But extinction doesn't care about political boundaries. Either all sentient life stands together, or we fall separately. The council members exchanged glances. Then, to everyone's surprise, Admiral Drek stood and gave what appeared to be a salute. In 12,000 years of military service, he said, I have never encountered a strategy this comprehensive. Your species prepared for every contingency, our hostility, our indifference, and threats beyond our knowledge, all while presenting a deliberately underwhelming facade. Humanity has always excelled at surviving against the odds, Eliza replied simply. Kazurlax's plasma form stabilized as they came to a decision. Commander Chen, the Council requires time to verify your information about these harbingers. However, your demonstrations have made one thing abundantly clear. Humanity is not the primitive species we believed you to be. The quarantine is rescinded, Demry Voss added. And we propose the immediate formation of a joint task force to assess this potential threat. Eliza nodded. Earth accepts these terms. Our scientific and military data will be made available to the task force. There remains the question of your application for membership, Turlax continued. Given these extraordinary circumstances, that can wait, Eliza said, surprising the council again. What matters now is preparation, not politics. Membership should be based on mutual respect and trust, which will take time to build. Thulera drifted closer. You orchestrated all of this, the fleet, the intelligence gathering, even this confrontation, not to force your way into the Confederation, but to protect it. To protect everyone, Eliza corrected. That's what humans do. We fight harder when we're fighting for others, not just ourselves. As the emergency session concluded and delegates began filing out to spread the alarming news throughout the Confederation, Admiral Zrek approached Eliza directly. Your species deceived the entire Confederation for decades, he said, not as an accusation, but with something that sounded almost like admiration. You could have conquered half our territories before we even realized what was happening. Eliza shook her head. That was never our intention, Admiral. I believe you, he replied, surprising himself with the admission. But I still don't understand why. Humanity learned long ago that true strength isn't about domination. Eliza explained. It's about protection. We didn't build our fleet to conquer the stars. We built it to ensure the stars remain free for everyone. Drek considered this, his reptilian features unreadable. The Council dismissed you as primitives because you still sleep, still fight among yourselves, still die from imperfections in your genetic code. Now I wonder if those supposed weaknesses are actually the source of your strength. As Eliza prepared to depart, Xerlax approached her one final time. Commander, there is one question that continues to trouble the Council. If humanity has been capable of such technological achievements for decades, why maintain the charade for so long? Why allow yourselves to be seen as primitive when you could have commanded respect from the beginning? Eliza smiled slightly. High Counselor, humans have a saying. It's better to be underestimated than overestimated. Your dismissal of us as primitive allowed us the freedom to prepare without scrutiny. But more importantly, it revealed the true nature of the Confederation. And what nature is that? Xerlax asked. A civilization that judges others based on appearances rather than potential, Eliza replied. That's a dangerous blind spot, especially with the Harbingers approaching. Perhaps this wake-up call will benefit us all in the long run. As she walked away, leaving the Council to contemplate a universe suddenly more complex and threatening than they had believed possible, Eliza activated her secure communication link. Phase 1 complete, she reported. The Confederation has agreed to form a joint task force. The voice that responded belonged to Earth's Secretary General and the Harbingers. They accepted the data. Verification is underway. Good, the Secretary General replied. And what about the real discovery? The one even the Harbingers are fleeing from. Eliza glanced back at the Council chamber, where the most powerful beings in the gnome universe were still reeling from today's revelations. One shock at a time, sir. They're not ready for that truth yet. Let's hope they will be, the Secretary General said grimly, when the time comes. As Eliza's transport departed the Confederation headquarters, she gazed out at the vast expanse of stars. Humanity had successfully navigated the first diplomatic crisis, but the real challenges and the real secrets still lay ahead. The Confederation had dismissed humans as primitive, only to discover they had been outmaneuvered at every turn. Soon, they would learn that this was only the beginning of humanity's surprises. Because if there was one thing humans excelled at beyond all others, it was adapting to survive. And sometimes, survival required letting others underestimate you, until the perfect moment to reveal your true strength.